My name is Daniel Harris. This is my true story. Please listen till the end and give me your advice. I'm 33 years old, and for most of my life, I believed that trust was the unshakable foundation of every relationship. I worked as a senior project manager at a thriving software company in Chicago, earning enough to live comfortably in a stylish apartment in Lincoln Park. From the outside, my life looked like a picture-perfect American dream. I was engaged to marry Olivia Martin, a woman I thought was my soulmate, and I shared a bond with my father, Richard Harris, that every son would envy. He wasn't just my dad. He was my mentor, my role model, the man who taught me that integrity is worth more than any paycheck. Richard, at 61, was a respected real estate broker who had built his career over 3 decades. He and my mother, Elaine, had been married for 36 years. Their love story the standard against which I measured every relationship. Dad was the kind of man who kept his promises, who still opened doors for my mom, and who never missed a single one of my childhood baseball games. When I introduced Olivia to my parents 2 years ago, my father welcomed her like the daughter he never had. Olivia, 31, worked as a marketing coordinator for a boutique firm. She was smart, beautiful, and shared my love for spontaneous road trips to Wisconsin and late-night debates about Chicago's best deep-dish pizza. We had met at a friend's barbecue on the 4th of July, and within months, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. Olivia fit seamlessly into my family, joining us for Sunday dinners, laughing at my dad's jokes, and helping my mom set the holiday table. Everyone adored her. Our wedding was scheduled for an October Saturday at St. Patrick's Church, followed by a grand reception at the Chicago History Museum. We'd invited 160 guests, family, friends, colleagues. Every detail was planned: a vintage bourbon bar, a jazz trio for dinner, a honeymoon booked in Maui. I truly thought my future was secure, bright, and filled with love. But fate has a way of unraveling even the most carefully woven dreams. The night before our wedding, I was staying with my father at the Palmer House Hotel, going over the last details of the ceremony. Olivia was with her bridesmaids at another hotel, following the old tradition of not seeing each other before the big day. That evening, Dad and I ordered room service, sitting together at the small table in my suite, reviewing the seating chart. He laughed, teased me about how nervous I seemed, and reassured me that everything would go perfectly. It was one of those father-son moments I thought I'd treasure forever. Around 10:30 p.m., Dad excused himself to use the restroom. He left his iPhone unlocked on the table beside his coffee. I wasn't trying to pry, but when a message notification lit up his screen, my eyes instinctively glanced over. And in that instant, my entire world collapsed. The message was from Olivia. It read, "Thank you for the unforgettable night, Richard. The way you touched me still lingers in my mind. I can't wait until the next time. You're incredible. Our little secret." Attached to the text was a photo that left no room for doubt. It showed Olivia and my father together, in what looked like a hotel room, time-stamped just the night before. I froze. My hands shook violently, but my mind was shockingly clear. Olivia, the woman I was about to marry in less than 12 hours, had slept with my own father. And Richard, the man I admired more than anyone in the world, had betrayed not only me, but also my mother, who at that very moment was probably helping Olivia prepare for the happiest day of my life. I quietly took photos of his phone screen with my own, documenting everything. Years of project management had taught me, always keep records. By the time Dad walked back into the room, I had already saved every piece of evidence. He smiled warmly and patted my shoulder. "Get some rest, son. Tomorrow will be the best day of your life." The irony nearly crushed me. But I didn't explode. I didn't shout. Instead, I made a silent decision. I would let them think they had gotten away with it, until I exposed them both in front of everyone they cared about. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned. I prepared. I turned my heartbreak into a strategy for revenge. I sat alone in that hotel room until dawn, staring at the evidence on my phone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Olivia's smile and my father's face, and felt the knife twist deeper into my chest. But instead of breaking down, something inside me hardened. I told myself, if they can deceive me so cruelly, then I will make sure the truth destroys them just as publicly as they plan to humiliate me. So I got to work. First, I uploaded all the screenshots and photos to a secure cloud server. Then I created a simple web page containing the messages, the photos, and the timestamps, undeniable proof of their affair. To make it accessible, I generated a QR code that linked directly to that page. At 2 a.m., I headed to the hotel's business center. Using their printer, I made 200 elegant little cards. Each card read, "Scan for a special surprise from the bride and groom." I knew exactly how curious wedding guests can be. Everyone loves a secret link, especially when they think it might show behind-the-scenes wedding photos. The cards looked professional, harmless, like a thoughtful little bonus for the guests. But what they contained was a ticking time bomb. Finally, I called Rachel Miles, my longtime attorney. Even though it was nearly 3 in the morning, she picked up. I explained everything in a low, steady voice. She was silent for a moment, then said, "Daniel, I'm so sorry. But listen carefully. Do not sign anything tomorrow. Don't let the marriage become legal. And as for your plan, it's not illegal. This is your life, your evidence, your story. Sometimes the truth itself is the best revenge." Rachel offered to attend the wedding discreetly, just in case things spiraled out of control. Her words gave me both courage and clarity. When morning came, I showered, put on my custom-tailored black tuxedo, and looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't look broken. I looked calm, controlled, ready. This wasn't going to be the happiest day of my life, but it would be the most unforgettable for everyone. The church was breathtaking that October morning. White roses lined the aisle, sunlight streamed through the stained glass, and the soft notes of the organ filled the air. Guests arrived in their finest attire, laughing, hugging, completely unaware of the storm about to erupt. My mother, Elaine, looked radiant in her navy dress, greeting relatives with pride in her eyes. My father, my betrayer, was playing his role flawlessly, shaking hands, smiling warmly, telling everyone how proud he was. And then there was Olivia, walking down the aisle in her $9,000 gown, glowing like an angel, whispering in my ear, "I can't wait to be your wife." The audacity nearly made me sick. She had been with my father barely 36 hours earlier, and now she was here, ready to vow eternal love in front of God and 160 people. But I kept my face calm. My plan was already in motion. During the ceremony, my trusted wedding coordinator quietly handed out the small QR code cards to the guests. She thought they were part of a fun surprise I had prepared. Guests smiled, slipped the cards into their hands, and, out of curiosity, began scanning them with their phones. I saw it happen like ripples spreading across a lake. My uncle's face went from delight to shock in seconds. My boss went pale and whispered to his wife. My cousin gasped and covered her mouth. One by one, the entire congregation began to realize what they were looking at. Explicit messages and photos of Olivia and my father. Behind me, whispers swelled into murmurs. Murmurs grew into gasps. The air itself seemed to change, thick, electric, heavy with outrage. My mother, still smiling at first, finally scanned the card. I watched her expression crumble as tears flooded her eyes. She turned away from my father's touch, pulling back like his very presence burned her. Olivia, standing beside me, still hadn't noticed the chaos behind her. She stared straight at the priest, hands delicately folded, waiting for the vows. And then, the moment arrived. The priest's voice echoed through the church. "If anyone has just cause why these two should not be joined together in holy matrimony, let them speak now or forever hold their peace." I stepped forward, took the microphone. The room fell into silence, except for the pounding of my heart. "Yes," I said, my voice steady, ringing through the church. "I have something to say." Olivia turned toward me, her face shifting from confusion to realization, to sheer horror, as she saw the guest's eyes fixed on her with judgment. My father half stood from his seat, panic painted across his face, and in that moment, I began to speak the truth. I held the microphone tightly, my voice carrying through the stunned silence of the church. "I loved you, Olivia," I began, my eyes locked on hers. "I gave you everything. My heart, my future, my trust. And Dad—" I turned toward Richard, who stood frozen in the front row, his face flushed, his hands trembling. "I looked up to you my entire life. You were my hero, the man who taught me about honor. But today, both of you taught me the most painful lesson of all: how deep betrayal can cut." Gasps rippled through the congregation. Olivia shook her head frantically, whispering, "No, please, Daniel, don't." But her words died in her throat. My mother was openly weeping now, her sister holding her as the truth shattered her world. Guests were staring at their phones, at Olivia, at Richard, whispering in disbelief. The evidence was irrefutable. "The most sacred promise of love," I continued, my voice calm but edged with steel, "was mocked in secret. And the most sacred bond of family was broken by lies. You both planned to let me walk into this marriage blind, smiling, unaware of the knife in my back. But not anymore." I lifted my hand, gesturing to the congregation. "Everyone here has seen the truth. The messages, the pictures, the betrayal that can never be denied." The church was so silent you could hear a pin drop. Even the children had stopped moving. "This wedding is over," I declared. "And so are both of my relationships, with you, Olivia, and with you, Dad. From this day forward, you are nothing to me." The words detonated like a bomb. Olivia collapsed to her knees, sobbing hysterically, mascara streaking down her face. Richard tried to push through the pews, stammering something about explanations, but no one wanted to hear him. My mother slapped his arm away when he reached for her face a mask of fury and grief. I turned, walked down the aisle, and pushed open the heavy doors of the church. The crisp October air hit me like a cleansing wave. Behind me, chaos reigned, guests shouting, my father's panicked voice, Olivia's sobs, but I didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt free. As I walked away from the church, my best man caught up to me on the steps. His face was pale with shock. "Jesus, Daniel," he whispered. "I can't believe they did that to you. Are you okay?" I looked him in the eye, and for the first time in weeks, I answered honestly, "I'm better than I've been in a long time. The truth sets you free, even when it burns." Within hours, the scandal spread like wildfire. Guests had posted screenshots of the evidence on social media. By Sunday night, the story was trending across Chicago. By Monday morning, local news outlets were running headlines about the wedding that exploded. For Olivia, the consequences were swift. Her company, which prided itself on family values, fired her within a week. No brand wanted to be associated with the infamous runaway bride who betrayed her groom with his father. For Richard, the fall was even steeper. His real estate business, built on reputation and trust, collapsed almost overnight. Longtime clients cut ties. His business partner walked away. And my mother, Elaine, after 36 years of marriage, filed for divorce. She told me through tears, "I might have forgiven a private mistake, but to betray your own son and then stand by and let him marry her, that is unforgivable." Legally, thanks to Rachel's advice, I was protected. Since the marriage had never been finalized, Olivia had no claim on my assets. I recovered part of the wedding expenses and cut every financial tie. It wasn't easy, but it was cleaner than I expected. 3 months later, I accepted a senior director role at a tech firm in Austin, Texas. It was a fresh start, far from the whispers, the headlines, and the memories of Chicago. There, I built a new life. Slowly, carefully, I opened my heart again. As for Olivia, I heard she moved back in with her parents, drowning in shame. My father? He now worked as a small-time realtor in the suburbs, his glory days gone. Their so-called secret love affair had ended almost immediately after the exposure, unable to survive the weight of humiliation. And me? I had scars, yes, but I also had freedom. Sometimes, the most devastating betrayals open the door to the life you were meant to live all along. Because in the end, truth isn't just revenge. Truth is redemption. That was my story. Tell me, if you were in my place, what would you have done? Please share your advice in the comments, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more stories like this one. And if you have a story of your own, something you've been through, something you want to share or get off your chest, leave it in the comments. Your words may help someone else who's watching right now. Because at the end of the day, we're not alone. We all have stories, and sometimes telling them is how we heal.